What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet, and I am black up in your face again with some more pro-black commentary. First and foremost, let me just say I can't believe I'm actually doing this video, but there are some responses that I got on my Facebook post and in other places that I decided that I need to do this video. So, today I'm going to be talking about the latest news about someone named Lily Phillips. And if you don't know who that is, she is a British white female who is already on OnlyFans, but I guess to get more attention on her OnlyFans, she has decided that she's going to sleep with 100 men within 24 hours. So she's going to have sex with 100 men in one day. Okay? So she decided to do this, and she also had a film crew there film her progress, as it were. And the film crew they did a little mini documentary about her and interviewed her before and after the 100 ding dongs that she decided to slide on, right? And at one point in the aftermath, they were giving her an interview, and it appears that she was upset and was crying and, not taking it too well that she had just rode on 100 poles there. But I don't really think that that's really real. I think that the whole crying thing was just a way to get more publicity for this whole thing. That's just my humble opinion. But it seems to have done its job because it's gotten a lot of people's attention both within the mainstream media and in social media, right? So a lot of people have been either writing articles about it or making video commentaries about it, and just asking the age-old question as to what type of damage does this do to women who engage in this type of behavior. And not just physical damage, but actual psychological and spiritual damage, right? So, I saw a couple of internet commentators talking about it, and then I read one of the articles. And, first of all, I'll just say she seems like a very generic white girl, nothing really special about her. And when I listened to her interview, she sounded very familiar, and then she looked very familiar to me. So I was like, who does she look like and who does she sound like? And that's when I put it together that she looks and sounds like the character Jane from the Disney Tarzan movie, which is one of my favorite Disney movies, by the way. But she has a very similar voice to the actress that played Jane in that movie, that same kind of British accent. And also, the shape of her face is very similar to the way Jane looks in that movie. So that's why you see Jane in the thumbnail. I'm sorry to do that to you, Disney, and I'm sorry to do that to you, Jane. But sad to say, this skeezer here looks a lot like the cartoon character. So I had to use that just for my own weird sense of humor. But as time has gone on, like I said, a lot of people have done commentaries about these actions. And when I saw the first article about it, where they were talking about how she was crying after riding on the 100 penises, I was not really shocked by that. I was like, well, yeah, if you're riding on all that pole, you're taking all that DNA. Maybe, I don't know if she used condoms or not. I would assume so. I would hope so. Right? But either way, just the fact that you're being penetrated by that many men in that short a time period is going to do some damage, right? Even though I feel like the whole crying thing was just a way to get more publicity, is doing damage to her psychologically and spiritually. All right? I don't know what anyone has told you ladies out there, but you were not meant to take that many penises at one time. I don't know. Yeah, just because you can physically do it, even though I think that's doing some damage too. I know her love cave between her legs is looking like some mud flaps on an old Ford truck by now, right? But you're not supposed to be taking that many penises, right? And it can do a lot of damage to you on a psychological level. And even if you're doing it quote unquote protected, right? Because I'm not even going to get into the whole idea that she might have done this with no condoms on. Because if you're taking that much DNA from different men in that short a time period, you're bound to be crazy, all right? Because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but when you take on a man's DNA like that, it enters you and affects your DNA and your hormones. You understand that? So that's why you have some of these women out here who are kind of crazy, who have lots of different men, is because they're taking on the DNA of a bunch of different guys out here. So those guys are crazy. They're pumping and dumping into you, so that makes you crazy, right? you know, and you got the warped coochie of 1,000 maniacs because you got a bunch of weirdos pumping and dumping in there. And when I saw this, it also reminded me that obviously she's not the first female to try something like this, right? There have been others in the porno industry who have done this before. Like I remember the very first time I saw something like this was way back in like the late 90s, where this porn star, I think her name was Jasmine St Clair, she had sex with like 200 or 300 guys or something like that. And she was doing an interview on one of those weird talk shows. I can't remember if it was Jerry Springer or Jenny Jones or something like that. And people in the audience were dogging her out. Like they were going in to the point where I could see she was getting pissed off, right? She tried her best to be like, you can't judge me, but those people were going in. Back in the 90s, you could be in the crowd and say whatever you wanted, right? It wasn't like it is now where you're heavily censored. Like back then, people used to be unscripted and just go all the way in on whoever was on the stage. That's what made 90s TV very funny back then. But like I said, Jasmine St. Clair wasn't the only one. Later on in the 2000s, there was this other white female with blonde hair named Houston, and she actually made a movie called The Houston 500 because she did 500 guys in the video, right? After that, there's this fat, chunky white female who did the same thing. Apparently, she got like up to 900, apparently. But yeah, that's the thing I noticed about this between those porn stars and Lily Phillips is, these are some Caucasian females, right? You got some Caucasian females involving themselves in this type of debauchery behavior and getting a lot of attention for it. However, what I've noticed is these white females don't get the same criticisms as other groups. Now, I made the post on my Facebook saying that when Lily Phillips made her video where she's having sex with 100 men, I've noticed that, there are social media commentators making videos about it. They'll talk about her and they'll say how she's a bad person, how she's messing up her mind, and how OnlyFans is bad, right? But what I've noticed is you don't hear these commentaries talking about the degradation of white society. Your typical coons and buffoons on social media and YouTube goofies, they're not making videos where they're talking about white women being bad or white women being, the worst types of women, or, white women are causing the downfall of the white community because they're engaging in this type of behavior, right? If Lily was black, that's the type of videos that will be being made by now, right? So there are people criticizing her, but they're criticizing her as an individual. I noticed that when a white female does something debaucherous like this, she's allowed to be an individual and people can criticize her on that merit. But if it's a black female, somehow it's all black females' fault, and then that also becomes the black community's fault, right? So it's like it. No matter what happens, even if you have a situation where a black female is not even engaging in this type of behavior, if she just sings about it, like if she made a rap song talking about "I take 100 penises," there would be a bunch of videos right now talking about how black culture is trash and how the black community is failing and the black community is evil and debaucherous and black women are just the worst of the worst because this black woman made a song about taking 100 penises. Now, bust down Becky here, Miss Lily Phillips, she can actually do that on camera and brag about it, and not even bragging about it, but talking about how she wants to do more. She wants to do 1,000 men in one day now. Like she wants to set the record for that, right? So, she can talk about doing all that and doing it on camera, and the only criticism that is given is to her as an individual. It's never to the white race or to white women at all, even though white female culture based in second wave feminism is what breeds this type of behavior. That's my honest opinion on it. Okay, that the culture and the nonsense that feminism preaches to a lot of white females, especially when they're young, it causes this type of behavior because it makes it seem as if you can do this type of thing and it will have no effect on you physically, emotionally. It won't have an effect on you spiritually, and it won't have an effect on you socially. So they make it seem as if, a woman can do this and she can still go ahead and decide to settle down and get married someday. And the sad part of that is you probably will find there'll be some white simp somewhere who will marry her later on in life, right? There'll be some white dude who's simping real hard, talking about how he was a fan of hers back in the day and he used to play with himself when he watched her videos, and he'll still marry her after she's had 100 and 1,000 penises in every hole on her body, right? After she's been basically a skeet dumpster for a bunch of guys out here. Some simp will marry her eventually. That's the sad part. And, in my opinion, the guys that showed up to be on this video, to be one of the 100 guys, those guys are simps too. There's something wrong with you. If you're a man and you want to stand in line to have sex with one woman after 100 other guys have already run up in her, there's something wrong with you. I know that people say that's shaming language or whatever, but I don't care. There's something wrong with you if you're involved in that. Hell, if you're a man and you're in the room with other men and y'all all got hard pipe, there's something wrong with y'all. Okay? That's not normal for you to be in a room with other men and you got a hard on. That's why I don't co-sign that whole running trains on girls and all that other nonsense. That's disgusting. And you guys are sick that involve yourselves in that type of behavior. All right? Usually I don't like to say stuff about what people do in the bedroom, but that's ridiculous. When there's a whole bunch of you in the bedroom, yes, there's something wrong with that. All right? So, you folks can let me know how you feel about this in the comments section. I would love to hear your opinions on this. And, like I said, to me, the whole issue I have with it, once again, is the same issue I've had with a lot of other things. It's just the hypocrisy I've noticed and the narrative that is put out there when situations like this come up with white females. When it's a white female, is at the most, the only thing they'll do is criticize her, and her as an individual is bad. When it's a black female, it's all black females somehow, even if you have black females who criticize it, and people will say that, well, that's part of black female culture, and then that somehow morphs into that's all black culture, and it's destroying the children, it's destroying the black community, and that's why you're poor and dusty, is because this black woman is doing this one black woman is doing this one thing, right? People will do these whole social science dissertations on the black community based on what one black woman does. But when a white woman does it, then all of a sudden there's no scrutiny there. No one wants to do any further investigation. Like I just told you, in my opinion, feminism is what's the cause of this. Second wave feminism, because that mindset, that feminist mindset has basically told these women that, you know, you can give your coochie up to anybody and it's okay, but don't cook for a man, right? That's the crazy part. Give your coochie away to the whole world, but if you cook for a man, you're less than a woman. You see how crazy that is? You see how insane that is? If you cook for a man or you clean up the house, then there's something wrong with you as a woman. But give your coochie away to everybody. Give it away to other men, other women, animals, whoever, and no one's able to say anything or judge you or whatever. Just give it away, right? But, if you make something to eat for your man, there's something wrong with you as a woman. So that's the warped mindset that feminism has pushed on women these days. But once again, you guys let me know how you feel about it in the comment section. I would love to hear your opinions on this. Anyway, Mad Black, and I will be back with my foot on the devil's back.